back to this special edition of Amador Live. I'm Keith Sweet, your host this morning, and with me is Tim Murphy. Tim is, you have a number of different positions. I think you have the distinction also of being the longest running, continuously in an elected position, right? I mean, you're the politician in the county that's been a politician the longest of anybody.
It's not a politician. It's just because it's government.
Government. Okay, you're not a politician. People say that to me. You know, you're vice mayor. Well, you're a politician. I said, I'm not a politician. I'm a people's servant.
Louis contests that. He thinks he's got 6 months on me.
Oh, Louis does.
Yeah.
Louis Boitan is what I think we're talking about. For those of you who are watching, Tim is a many-time mayor of the city of Sutter Creek, but today you're here as a board member of the Sutter Creek Community Foundation, I believe.
Right. Yeah,
and
thanks for inviting us.
Hey, I'm happy to have you. You've got a number of projects, your foundation. It's relatively new, just started a few years back. Tell us a little bit about it.
Okay, well, basically it started a little over 2 years ago. It's made up of a group of citizens from the community, a really wide background. And the sole purpose of the foundation is to raise money for purposes of historic preservation and to provide education for the public on the history of the Sutter Creek area, as well as to help to physically preserve some of the assets that we have, some of the buildings and other features that we have.
Everybody knows who's watching, I'm sure, the Sutter Creek, the Jewel of the Mother Lode, as you call yourselves, has been around for, you know, since the Mother Lode was founded, and you've preserved it well, members of the community. What project are you trying to preserve now?
Well, there's 3 projects. Really, the foundation's only involved in 2 of them, but there's 3 important projects going on. One is the Jackson Rancheria has stepped up again with their park restoration, and we're just beginning to restore and improve the Mini Provost Park, which is the main downtown ballpark playground area. That's just getting underway. It's going to be kind of a lengthy process because one of the main features involves a large retaining wall along the creek side, which is going to take a couple of years because of the permitting process to touch anything. I mean, it's probably, maybe there's a fish left in the creek somewhere, I don't know, but anyway. But we're glad to get that started and looking for, you know, just getting together with some volunteers to help out. Probably not as much with this first phase because it's a pretty heavy construction project. But
so the Rancheria is like they did at Jackson Dieter Park, is going to just kind of come in and take over and restore that park to its, or even make it probably better than it ever was.
Oh, it'll be better than it ever was, yeah. It's going to be very nice.
One of the things, just as a quick aside, you know, I enjoyed volunteering several times at the Dieter Park. They always advertise and are always asking for community people, local people to come down and give them a hand. A lot of things you can do, paint. You know, they never ask you to do anything that's too heavy or too hard, but it's just to show that you actually support their efforts and their attempt to better our community. So that's your first big project. That's a big project. That'll be ongoing for the next several years.
Yeah,
probably.
It's a very big project, and it will take a couple of years, mostly because of the fact that it's on the creek there.
Right.
The other 2 projects, we have the Miners Bend Park, which is going in on the south end of town. It was kind of a funny little weed patch parking lot, used car lot. People just, it was an underused piece of property that was actually turned out to belong to the city. It was abandoned a long time ago when the alignment for Highway 49 changed. And it just sat there. So
that's that little triangle that's on the upside of the flag area, right? Is that what we're talking about?
Well, it's all the way down at the corner. Yeah, it's at the corner along the edge of where there's a row of houses on Main Street. It's opposite those last ones and opposite the apartment. And that's being turned into a really nice display of local mining equipment, which is off to a tremendous start. There's a small group of people, one of which just left. Ed Arata, Frank Kuna, and Robin Peters have been the organizers of it. It's been going on about 3 years. Really just got the right combination of things, and it's really taken off in the last 6 months. And it's going to be it's going to include a pathway with some explanations of the displays, and people will understand how the equipment was used and where it originated.
You had a contest to name that park, didn't you?
Yeah, we did. Yeah, it turns out the name, people are a little surprised by the name. It turns out though that in the old mining days, that was where the itinerant miners camped. There was actually a camp right there, and they would come through town and ask for the location where they could stay, and they'd say it was up at the Bend, which was halfway between the South Eureka and the rest of the town. So that was an encampment of miners for a good long time, and there was a spring there. So we didn't just make that up. Actually, we did. It turned out it looked planned, but I don't think it was as planned as well. But that's the meaning behind the name, and it's going to be a very nice park.
Miners Bend Park, right there at the turn of the road.
Can't miss it.
So is there going to be something tall there? Is there going to be some kind of a building there? Or,
I'm sorry.
I know right now you've got mining equipment piece there, and there's some white chalk.
What's today? Wednesday. I think by tomorrow the head frame of the South Eureka will be there, a miniaturized version of that, which isn't too miniature. I think it's going to be about 15 feet tall. Recreate the South Eureka head frame. And we have the parts for a stamp mill that was actually made at Knight's Foundry in town. And that's still in a little bit of bits and pieces, but that's going to be the main central feature of it. It won't be operating, but will be set up, and people will be able to understand how it worked.
So is this a park people just walk through, or is there going to be picnic benches or something there?
Oh, yeah. But ultimately, after this is done, the adjacent area to the north of that, which is like a super wide abandoned part of street, will all be redone into new parking areas as a separate city project.
And this is through the Sutter Creek Community Foundation. So you're trying to get grants and things of that nature to put this together. I'm sure some of the city's helping it out.
Well, it's the city's project, technically. They've basically turned it over to a small committee, which I just mentioned, which is Frank and Ed and Robin. And the fundraising part of the foundation, the Sutter Creek Community Benefit Foundation, and Frank is also involved in that, so there's a lot of overlap, like there always is, where you get the same people with different hats on. But we've got tremendous response from local professionals to donate in-kind services. The paving was done recently. Campbell Construction donated the paving, and Meeks has donated. Amador Transit Mix donated the concrete. I mean, people have just been coming up asking how they can help.
You know, that's one of the neat things about Amador County, you know, that once a project like that benefits everybody, that helps bring, you know, visitors, gives visitors a better experience when they come. I think everybody recognizes that. You know, people like yourself I kid you that you've been on the city council for a long time, but that's a volunteer position, and you've been involved in lots of things, as you've mentioned several other names, and lots of names you didn't mention, you know, or participate in that. But you've also got the school. What's going on with the school?
Yeah, the school, that's an area that I'm most involved in with the foundation. The school is still, this is the old white brick two-story building that's behind the current elementary school on Broad Street, or off Broadway. It's visible in the background kind of town. It was the Sutter Creek's third school, actually. It was built in 1870 and then remodeled in 1890 and used up until 1960s, and had various periods of being reused and abandoned for 20 years at one point. And it has previously been restored by the Women's Club, which did a major effort in 1985. And then again, it just is overdue and fell into disuse. And so the city has leased it for no cost from the school district for 30 years for purposes of overseeing restoration, and has appointed, volunteered the Community Benefit Foundation to be responsible for raising the funds. And that's been very successful too. It's amazing. People are always calling up and wanting to either donate money or donate artifacts, or just share some personal history. There's a lot of people still in town who actually attended that school, and some people for several generations. And we're making really good progress, and plan on having it opened on a limited basis, fall, winter.
Is that,
Good picture.
the design of that is, or the intent for that is as a community center, or is it as a display for these artifacts? Is it a museum? What's the final
Yeah,
thought there?
the first goal was to keep it from deteriorating, just physically to preserve it, which needed a lot of help. The second is, of course, the reuse of it, and one of the purposes is going to be, there's a 500 square foot room when you come in, and that's going to be open for general purposes of meetings and things that people want to use it for on an occasional basis. We are going to have a local museum, which is going to focus on the city of Sutter Creek and the local mining operations.
Well, as usual, we're running out of time.
Okay.
We could talk for a long time. Website?
It's sccbf.org.
Okay, so take a look at
Yep.
that, and you'll find out more information. And obviously looking for donations, looking for volunteers, but thanks
Well-
for being with us.
Okay, thank you for having me.
Appreciate it.
All right.